Did you attend the Fast Forward conference in San Diego this year? Today on the podcast, Beth and I are going to share our biggest takeaways from the conference, and these are things that you can implement in your business today. Let's dive in. You're listening to the Girl, Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast, where we invite you to check your ego at the app, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready to dive into all things real estate marketing, social media, friendship, hardship, love, money mindset, and all the things that celebrate you as a badass boss babe.
We're here to encourage you, show up for you, give you a loving kick in the pants when you need it most, and be your soft place to land on the hardest of days. So pull up a seat at our table and get ready to be inspired and start living your best life by design.
Welcome to the Girl, Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast. We are so excited you're here.
Okay, girls, let's dive in.
Okay, Beth, we got back from the Fast Forward conference a little bit ago, and we are finally recording this podcast episode.
My brain was broke after we got back.
I remember, was it day 2? I was like, I feel like I should be so tired, Beth, but I'm so energized.
No, back that story up a little bit. Before we went, you're like, Beth, I don't know how I'm going to stay up late. I know like there's usually like dinners and things that like we need to go to. And you know, at home, I go to bed like 8:30 and I don't know how I'm going to stay up. And I'm like, I don't know. We're just going to have to figure it out.
Shit.
And I'm thinking she's going to poop out. And we stayed out late.
Oh my gosh, we stayed out so late and it was awesome.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can't believe how good I feel.
Yeah.
It was so good. So like we've taken conferences before and you've been to a gazillion. I haven't been to a ton and nothing like this. This was so amazing. I loved it. I loved it so much.
So I had been to one EXP conference so far since I moved to EXP, and we're at 2 years. Like by the time this episode comes out, we'll be at the 2-year mark that the team has been at EXP.
Okay.
It's May 20th was the move date, I think.
Okay.
Somewhere around there. And so this was only my real second conference that I'd been to, and I'm like, it breaks my brain.
It was so good. It wasn't just a bunch of like, go do this and this and blah, blah, blah. It was like real life examples, awesome speakers. It just like boom, boom, boom went. The only thing I wish is they would have like encouraged you to stand up. That was like, it's nice if there weren't really big breaks.
Yeah, because they had so much information. They're like, if you got to get up and go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. Yeah. We are trying to get as many awesome speakers on stage as we can.
Which they did.
Yeah.
Which is incredible, but you didn't want to pee. You were like, oh.
You're like, crap, they're in the middle of a good thing.
And they had snacks and beverages in the hallway the whole time. Like, it was really nice.
They put on a really good conference.
Yeah, shout out to Dan Beer and Kyle Whistle.
Yeah, they just literally kicked ass.
They kicked ass. It was amazing to be an attendee there. And we did VIP, which was extra amazing. Yep. But really, they just like took care of us. And the people they brought on stage were incredible. Yeah. It was incredible. Yep. So I honestly was like, I was really excited to go. I mean, Beth and I were able to do some friend time too, which was super awesome. So I was like pumped about that. What is Birch doing? Sidebar. Who knows? She's sniffing the wall currently. But we were able to have some friend time. And then I did a little mini vacay by myself afterwards. So I was like, this is going to be great. It's going to be like some work stuff and some personal stuff.
It's like a 3-for-1 trip for you.
Yeah, 3-for-1 trip.
It's a 2-for-1 for me and a 3-for-1 for you.
And not even that I didn't think it was going to be good, but it was, I've only experienced what I've experienced as far as conferences go.
You hadn't been to one like this before.
I was like, yes. Like,
well,
give
and
me
the other thing
like
is that you, like you've done Tom Ferry like twice virtually.
Yep.
But you haven't really like hung out in a big room like that with that many real estate agents.
This had a different vibe though. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah.
Right. A different vibe.
Yeah.
And honestly, I
think your expectations were different than what your perception ended up, or like what ended up being your reality when you were there.
Yeah. I honestly like loved it. I loved it so much. It was so great. Yeah. So should we get to our biggest takeaways?
Yes.
We have so much. Like, we're literally going to kind of do this off the cuff. We have our whole notebook of like just notes and things that we're going to go through. So, but we really want to get this information out to you because like not everyone can go to this, or maybe you didn't take notes because you were just soaking it all in. I have so many just like pictures on my phone.
Yeah. You have way more notes than I do. And I'm like, there's some of it. I'm like, I was trying to be present and like soak it all in. And then I'm like flipping through my notes going, mother effer, I should have written that down.
Yeah.
Damn it.
There's
like
a lot
I'm
of
going to
stuff.
remember it. And then of course I didn't, because life, you know?
There's a lot of stuff that's probably in my phone that I'm not going to talk about today, but there's a lot of stuff in this notebook that's great. I came back and talked to Carrie. You were gone. Where were you? You went somewhere. I chatted with Carrie, and I was like, Carrie, this is the best shit. And I was like, on and on. She's like, this is amazing. So, all right, without further ado, let's get into this. So one of the things that they started with right away was EOS, which we have implemented on the team successfully so far, and that we use and love. Well,
yes.
We have like a little bit of a love, hate, Carrie made us do it, now we like it sort of thing. So the first thing they chatted about was the EOS being the importance, right? And Kyle Whistle chatted about this on focus on 3 rocks, execute at 1.5 speed, and be a honey badger, which was really funny and very accurate.
Okay, something that, like, when Kyle was talking about executing everything at 1.5%, I was like, this is
1.5 speed.
I'm sorry, 1.5 speed.
Can you imagine 1.5%? He'd be like, that's not what I meant.
Yeah, that's not what I meant. 1.5 speed. Yeah. So, like, I've been listening to podcasts like that, and Mark gives me so much crap about it.
I didn't know you were doing this. I don't do that.
I've been doing it for a couple of years, and I listen to podcasts faster. And I'm like, time is of the essence here. Totally. Like, let's get this crap done. I can listen to, Yeah.
I like
way
the
more.
honey badger going for the kill. Like,
yeah.
It's very aggressive. When he doesn't seem that aggressive in general. So it was like,
I know.
Interesting.
Those are the only 3 things I wrote down from his talk. And he was up there for a long time. Because those are the things I'm like, yep, this is what you do.
Yeah, that was awesome. So second thing that I loved so much was they had James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits.
Oh my God, yeah.
As the keynote. And he was wonderful. So much stuff seems really basic when you write it down, but it's like aha moments, right? Like he talked about time will magnify whatever you feed it. The trajectory rather than the position. Like current habits are designed to keep your current systems. Like things like this is like obviously. Mm-hmm. And his delivery was amazing. And I loved the story that he shared about how to like create the habit. And it's not what we think. It's the before. It's that precursor to it.
Okay, so there was a story about a gal that was getting interviewed, and she had like this awesome routine of working out every day or however many days a week. And they're like, so whoever was interviewing her was like, well, so what's the secret? And, so she talks about she gets up at 5 a.m. and gets dressed and goes to the gym and like puts her shoes on, and she gets into the cab, and then cab drops. She's in like New York City or something. And then the cab drops her off at the gym, and then she goes and works out. And so then I think someone had said, oh, so the habit is what? Putting your shoes on? And she's like, no, the habit is getting into the cab.
Loved it so much. And that's just it. We think about like the habit is getting on the Peloton and doing the workout. No, the habit is the before. It's not the actual workout. It's not the actual. He also shared another experience where the person just went to the gym and was there for like a couple minutes.
Oh yeah, someone else that was trying to get into the routine of going to the gym.
It was opening the door to the gym.
And so they opened the door to the gym and like stepped in, and they just did that for several days in a row, but before even working out, because they needed to create the habit of being actually like a healthy person and getting to the gym. And so he's right. It isn't what we think that it is.
No, and that was a really big eye opener for me, because I was like, gosh, you think it's the workout. You think it's the food. It's like, no, it's the having the groceries in the house, right? It's not the workout. It's the having the workout clothes available, like putting the workout clothes on. So that was really interesting. And he talks about like a habit must be established before it can be improved. Master the art of showing up. And that's literally what it is.
Yep. And it was being versus doing. The goal is not to run a marathon. The goal is to become a runner. And I'm like, mic drop right there.
I love it so much. And he's like, never miss twice. So when we think about like how we continue the habit and like form the habit, you just don't miss twice. So, and every vote of action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become,
that was
which I loved.
So good.
Yeah.
I love what he said, like, join groups where your desired behavior is the normal behavior.
Yes.
So people aren't like, oh, you're the person that works out all the time, or you're the person that eats healthy all the time. No, surround yourself with people that's just the norm. And then nobody's going to make you feel weird about it.
I think that is such a huge one for if you're trying to change something about your life, a habit in your life, or trying to like better yourself. And like, especially if you're in a relationship or like your friend group is completely different from where you're trying to go, you have to start like navigating.
Well, you're the habit of the 5 people that you surround yourself with all the time. That is just, we talk about that all the time.
Totally.
So everything that he talked about was like, brought it to that.
I also loved, he said, you don't know your values until you have to choose them. And I was like, that is so good too. So there were so many really good moments there. And when he spoke that were just like, this is really speaking to me. I thought it was really powerful.
And for like an actionable thing, he said, like, if you're really trying to like set a routine and habit and get it to be like everyday life, like, what do I really want? Sit down and write a notebook daily for 2 weeks, and you write it out and see how that evolves over time. And that's going to show you clues as to like how you're going to get to that desired outcome.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he was a awesome, really powerful keynote.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was most excited for, but that was just like the scratching the surface.
Yeah, it really was. Honestly, everyone on that stage did such an incredible job. We just interviewed someone we met, literally just didn't meet even there on the stage on the podcast. So that was exciting too. So
yeah, Mike Proctor, who is an agent on Kyle Whistle team.
So his interview, I think, will go live after this episode goes out.
Awesome. Yeah, you're not going to want to miss that episode.
So get your tissues and get ready for it.
It was a good one.
It was awesome. So someone else I really enjoyed was Mary Maloney. And she talked about getting back to advanced, not basics. Like, everyone's saying get back to basics, but she's like, it's not basic. You need to get back to the advanced. Stop going back to that same old. Like, go to the advanced stuff. Like, you're not just going to do, like, again, we always talk about how archaic the real estate industry is. Like, don't go do the stuff that you did in the 80s, 90s, however long you've been in this business.
Yeah.
Get back to those advanced basics, which I really like that. She also spoke a lot about the different kinds of farming, geo, demographical, categorical, and how she's finding success in all of those.
She's crushing all of those. She's a top producing agent in the San Diego market, and she's fabulous.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. So definitely check her out for more on that. But I really found that helpful. And it kind of put things in a different perspective for us as far as how to start mapping that database and like what to do there. So that was really great. Something else I thought was really cool is hiring a copywriter to interview your clients on their experience instead of just having them write it. So you get those keywords. When we talk Google ads and like how we request our ads, we ask them for very specific things. So if you're not doing this, definitely put some research into like what you need in a Google ad and how that matters as far as how it gets ranked and like how it shows up in feeds and like how Google wants it to be, basically. So you get seen, and really talking about having a copywriter to interview them instead of just having them write the review.
I literally had never heard anyone say that before. Yeah. But that was really, you can see how that's going to just automatically help the ranking on your Google page. And that's just like that's worth its weight in gold right there.
Yeah. Another super powerful speaker that we saw, and I would definitely put her in my top 3, was Nikki Miller. She was incredible, just incredible.
Like, yeah, mind blowing. I'd never even heard of her before. She runs, just like her backstory is that she runs an organization that basically she's like a team leader of all like solo women agents. That don't want to join a team. And so like that was really, it's interesting. And when she ran it like up the tree with like people that she really respects in the industry, they're like, this isn't going to work. And she's like, fuck you. I'll show you it can work.
I love her. I love her so much.
Yeah.
And she left us with like 11 questions to ask ourselves. And I'm not going to list them all here because I think that she probably has these elsewhere. And they're just really, really powerful. But just a couple of them is like, why am I uniquely suited to achieve the goals and dreams I have? Like, in what ways do I know the world is conspiring for my success? Like, really powerful questions to ask yourselves to find that path forward. And I really, really enjoyed her as a speaker. It was really powerful.
Yeah, she was really intense. And you could just tell that she's a chick that just doesn't take no for an answer. Mm-hmm. And I love that, like when you see badass women business, and I think awesome. She was a single mom. So I mean, you're like, she's got a why that's like no other. She's got a kid incredible. And she's got to put food on her table, and she's going for it.
So next person on my list was Mike Proctor, who he was so awesome. We interviewed him earlier today. We're doing a podcast batch recording day, and I literally in my notes here, I literally have podcast guests like circled because he came on the stage, and it's very rare that we have a man on this podcast. We've had it a handful of times. It's a very rare thing because we're all about like, you know, opening up space and allowing women to really have a seat at every table and like giving them a platform to like really be seen. And so when we do have a man on, we choose very carefully.
Yeah.
And he got up there and he started speaking about imposter syndrome.
And we're like, what?
I'm like, what? And you would like in a room of heavy hitters, in a room of people producing at just the highest level.
Yeah.
He shared this like story and the impact that has had, and not believing he was worthy of success. Again, you are going to want to check out this podcast episode because it is so powerful. And how many times did we cry?
I cried 3.
Okay. Yeah. I think he even cried 2. So it's a really great one from a man's perspective. And it was incredible. So I really, really like that. I also love that he chatted about calendaring. It's his accountability partner. And I like love calendaring so much. And
everything.
I was like, yes, it is. It totally is.
It's on his calendar to drop a kid off at school. It's on his calendar to pick up kids at school. It's on his calendar for dates with his wife. Every single activity in his life is on a calendar.
Yeah.
And he said that's one of his key pieces of success. And how freaking cool is that?
People also shared the importance of your evening routine as your morning routine. We hear so much how important our morning routine is, and we get that drilled in. But your evening routine is what sets you up for success come the next day.
I've heard that from so many successful people in real estate that they're like, your evening routine is almost more important than your morning routine. Because if you don't like finish out your day in a positive way and then set yourself up for success the next day, it's like then you're just scrambling in the morning. So then it kind of just undoes it. It will like undo your positive morning that you're doing. So it's like, why wouldn't you just have just like the ease and flow in your life? We've been talking a lot more about that on the team. Mm-hmm. Like we all want more ease and flow.
You do. And it doesn't need to be like something's out of alignment. Like it shouldn't be you hitting your head up against the wall all the time. And something else Mike Proctor talked about was by saving your ego is like what's holding you back, right? So by saving your ego, you hold yourself back for growth. And that was like a moment for him that was really powerful when he realized that. And the biggest mistake is holding on to your ego sort of thing. So I also really enjoyed that because that is a thing that we hide behind.
Yeah.
To protect ourselves from vulnerability.
Yeah. I love John Sheplack. I had never seen him speak before. And I'm like, he's a little terrifying. And Christy and I were sitting in the front row. We were in the front row or second row?
We were in the front row.
And I'm like, holy shit, is he going to come over here and like start screaming in our face? He's super intense. If you've never seen him, like look him up online, YouTube, Insta. He is a badass. But I love that he's a badass with heart. Like he's... The outside is like rough and tough exterior, but like he is like soft and mushy inside. And he's basically like the 2 biggest reasons why people don't take action is like fear and overwhelm.
Yeah, he also talks about, which I love, was self-leadership and personal responsibility. And this is such a big one because it is so easy to be like, oh, this happened to me this week or that happened to me this week or I didn't feel good or I wasn't able to do this because my car broke down or whatever. And like that personal responsibility piece was so crucial and that I thought was really important. And I also like that he said it's not a skills game, it's a contact game.
Yep.
And he really laid it out. Action wins. And
I like when he says, like, what are the things in your business and your personal life that you feel most confident about? Do we ask ourselves those? I don't think most people ask themselves those questions regularly. And why not? Like, where are you executing on a high level? And then it's easy to see like where you're not executing and you can put focus and attention there.
He also talked about like 50% of marketing wins, which we basically know this.
Yeah.
But you don't know till you try it. So like really eliminating that fear. You're going to fail and like that's okay. Like it's part of it. So just figuring out what does work by trial and error. And he also chatted, which honestly Kyle Whistle, Dan Beer, and John Sheplick, like everyone was talking about, like we're all in the enrollment business basically, which I also thought was really interesting how they did that, and about onboarding. Onboarding all over again was a really big topic at this conference, and what that looks like and how important it is for a team if you didn't have the structure in place when you brought agents on, how re-onboarding is a necessity in order to grow and like evolve and like to push people forward. So I thought that was also really great.
Okay, the other thing that was awesome was when he asked everyone in the audience, he said, who writes their own emails? And I like shot my hand up in the air and I'm like, hell yeah, I write every single email. I write every single social post that goes out.
Not many hands were up.
No, he basically called out everybody that uses like ChatGPT, and he's like, it's bullshit. He's like, it is not you. Don't delegate away your relationship with your clients and your database.
It's just fake, and they'll
don't have your assistant write it. Don't delegate it away. Don't use a ChatGPT. It was awesome. It was like crickets in the room when
it was crickets. Like our hands were raised because you were doing it, and like I copy edit,
only a handful
but I
of people.
write the emails. Like we just like copy edit. So Beth is writing all of her content, which is it's work. And he just completely validated that. He also went into email marketing and how to be successful, and we could raise our hands so many times. We took a couple of new things away that were really helpful that we can try to implement and see if it works for us. But we were actually doing quite a bit of what he was saying. And that feels so good. Not because you want to, I already did this. Like, that's not why we went to the conference. Obviously, we want to learn. But just to validate.
It validated that we're doing. He's like, so many agents have automated their way out of the client relationship. And like, what is the point of us being here if we're automating our way out of that relationship? What are we doing here?
So I want to touch a little bit on, like, he talked quite a bit about email, and of course I was like super excited. But he did talk about that one thing that was very interesting, and that was writing at a second grade level. That is the level that we all need to be writing at when it comes to our communication. And that was like, what? And you can go, he like mentioned a Hemingway app to like go in and do that. So like simplifying the way that we're writing, the way that we're communicating. And not to say like our audience isn't educated, but it's how we receive information in a quick manner and how it's necessary to be at that level. I also thought that was really interesting.
That was super cool.
And the biggest thing I wrote down here from him was, who gives a fuck? Because stop worrying about what everyone else thinks. Who gives a fuck? And I was like, exactly. Like, we're so worried about all this bullshit that does not matter. And what other people think of us and our businesses.
He was scary, but it was so good.
He was pretty scary.
He's just so intense, and he's so passionate about his platform and like the level that he wants agents to play at. It was really inspiring. I freaking loved it. Amy Gregory was an awesome gal on day 2 of the podcast, or day 2 of the conference. She is a mama. I think she has 4 kids, and she's like, I don't have the luxury of working, 80 hours a week. I don't have that. I have enough hours where I can work part-time, and how can I make an income that makes sense for me to even have a job and do something that I love? So her whole platform and her whole business is, how do I increase my hourly rate, and how do I find opportunities and be like radically proactive? And she said, pressure is a privilege. I thought that was really cool. I've been following her ever since, and I love her stuff. Even though I'm not a mom, like, there are definite takeaways, and just her whole business model. She has super high energy. She serves clients at a really high level. She runs a team, and she's like, there's just only so many hours in the day. And it's all about, she's family first, 1000% of the time. And she was really inspiring. She's a little like pint size, just energizer bunny. I loved it.
I don't have this in my notes of who said this, but I really found this fascinating. And it actually makes complete sense that women influence 91%.
That was her. That was Amy Gregory. Awesome. And she also said, you do not want to be the Walmart. She's like, don't be Walmart.
Yeah.
like create a brand for yourself, and it's okay if you're not going to be for everyone, and that's totally okay.
Yeah, and she says 75% of success is the happiness in the journey. And I really like that a lot. So
yeah, I loved her.
Someone else I enjoyed at the conference was Gabe Mendez. He spoke quite a bit on video and different ways that he's using it. The language that he's using around video, I thought that was really helpful. So I definitely think he's someone to check out to learn a little bit more from.
And then I really loved Barry Habib.
Yeah.
So Barry Habib, if you are not following him, I would highly recommend it. So
even if you aren't in real estate, if anyone's listening to this for some reason that's not in real estate, he's worth it to follow.
If you have any interest in anything like financial and what's like going on in the world, he's a follow.
Yes.
So he's a mortgage guru, expert, you know, almost like a mortgage economist. I don't know if he would call himself that, but he definitely is an expert in the mortgage real estate space. And I was following him back in the 2000s when I was in the mortgage business, back when there was faxes. So every day we would come into the office and there was a fax on the fax machine that was like, here's what's happening in the market today. Here's what you can expect. It's a bull market. It's a bear market, yada, yada. And he's still at it. Like I totally didn't even know he was still a thing. And so I've been newly introduced to him probably like in the last 6 months. And I'm like, oh my God, why did I lose touch with him? He is so great. He's all about the data. He takes all the data from everywhere and like breaks it down so it's super easy to understand. He really is great at educating you as like a mortgage professional or a real estate professional. So then you can in turn have intelligent conversations with clients, but also not conversations that are so complicated that you're like, okay, I don't have a PhD in inflation. Like he really breaks it down. And some of the stuff that he was talking about is truly mind blowing. And he is not mainstream media guy. He is like the exact opposite. And he's like the shit that they're putting out on mainstream media.
He gave like, examples.
It's fear mongering nonstop.
It was bananas. Like he gave examples of like what they're doing versus the reality. And so breaking it down like it was science, right? He's just like, this is the fact. Like this is how it is. He's like,
well, numbers don't lie.
They don't lie. And it was really interesting. Check him out if you like Beth said, if you haven't already, because gosh, we all want those talking points for our clients to like, and we want to be the expert for them so we can be their resource. So really, really powerful there. And we saw Lauren Taylor, who we've had on the podcast.
Yeah, it was so fun too. Well, because it felt like we already knew her. So then we're, you know, just shooting the breeze and like,
we did a ladies' luncheon that she was at, which was fun.
Yeah, Mary Mahoney hosted the ladies' luncheon. And it was just really cool to connect with like people. We actually made some really awesome connections with people from Minnesota. That one guy that I've never, if I would have passed him at Target, I wouldn't have known who he was from The Man in the Moon. And holy cow, what a great guy. But then all these other really fabulous agents from around the country. It was a fabulous event.
I feel like we're selling the conference. We're not getting paid for this. Maybe we should call Kyle Whistle and Dan Beer about that.
You're like, hey, can we get a referral fee?
No, but honestly, we had such a blast. And like you said, the behind the scenes and meeting people, totally like not my world at all because I don't live on that side of it. I had so much fun.
And you got to meet so many of our EXP business partners here locally. We all went to dinner one night and it was
awesome people.
This great Greek restaurant. It was just fun to just connect with people that you don't get to see on a regular basis.
It was really fun. And you're like rubbing shoulders with people who are actually taking action and changing their lives and others' lives. And for me, like that was the most powerful thing about it was it wasn't just like a room of people that
Let me show you how important that I am.
And this grounded human beings. And I really loved it so much.
And so many of them are so understated that like never in a million years would you know that they give back philanthropically and that they're, you know, just crushing it because they show up in like a ball cap and a ripped up t-shirt and they're like, this is just me. This is how I am.
It didn't feel like a bare, like they didn't just like do the bare minimum. Like we actually, like they really took good care of us kind of thing. I mean, they had Topo Chico.
Well, and
come on, I love Topo Chico.
What's really cool is that Dan and Kyle, Dan Beer and Kyle Whistle run really successful EXP real estate teams in the San Diego area. And like, frankly, they're competition with one another, but that's not how they operate their business. They operate their business like what helps me will help you and vice versa. And they're like, I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back. And it's so cool how like give and take that it is.
Everyone's like coming together. Yeah. Can we give a shout out? Do you know the person's name that gave us the ride when we couldn't get the Uber?
I do not. And he was fabulous.
This amazing person. If you're listening to this, you'll know who we are. Trying to get an Uber after the VIP event. And like, this was impossible. And
he pulls up in his gigantic pickup truck.
Gigantic. And crammed us all in there.
Yeah, we had 4 people in the back seat and the bench seat in the back.
Yeah.
And an awesome gal from Orlando in the front that like crushes it with the Airbnbs. And he's like, my wife's coming to town. I'm so excited. But he's like, jump on in. I'll give you a ride to the next place we're going. And like, just really solid people that you would want to spend time with.
Yeah, that was great. Like saying there, how are we going to get there? Uber's
yeah, we're literally the thing is spinning on. I'm like, Uber's not coming for us.
Yeah, so really great conference. Had so much fun. Learned so much. So definitely check out all that stuff that we just shared with you, because
if you get an opportunity to go to any EXP conferences, you don't even have to be at EXP. There was plenty of people there that were not EXP agents. I'm just going to make a bold statement and say the events that are put on by EXP agents are heads above the average real estate event that you're going to go to.
Also, like, it wasn't a hard sell on EXP.
Nothing. No one tried to sell anyone on EXP. If anything,
they made sure it veered away from that to keep it very like inclusive for everyone, which I really appreciated. We're EXP, but like that's not what it was about. So I loved that they did that as well. Like they were very aware and making sure everyone felt very included. So
it's awesome.
It was awesome.
It was a great event.
Until next time.
Till next time.
Yeah. So check all that out and hit us up on social if something that you learned at the conference we missed, because there's so much and we're already implementing things on our team that we learned. So it's exciting.
It was so good. Yeah. Well, until next time, Boss Bench babes.
Remember to keep your face off a bus bench.
And keep being the badass boss babes that you are.
Okay, girls. Are you feeling as inspired as we are? We're over here cheering you on because you just finished another episode of the Girl, Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast.
If you want more, head over to girlgetyourfaceoffabusbench.com for show notes and more episodes. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. They mean the world to us, and they're what keep us going.
Girl, thanks for being here.